Hey guys, so today we're on top of Mount Carmel. We're up in the north of the country. We're looking out over the Jezreel Valley. Back behind us, across the valley, is Nazareth. So it's a really cool area. But where we are specifically is where one of the really cool events in the Bible took place. And this is very likely the place on Mount Carmel where Elijah called down fire and defeated the prophets of Baal. Okay? Very likely right around here, very close to where we're standing. The reason we think that is because what Elijah was doing in setting up this whole conflict with the prophets of Baal is he was giving them all of the home field advantages. And the altars to Baal, which is really Baal, by the way, but all the altars for Baal were always at the top of mountains, at the highest point. And this is the highest point along the Carmel Ridge, or the Carmel Chain. So we're at the highest place. And even what Elijah said, let's whoever calls down fire, Baal was considered to have sort of powers over the sky, and so the idea was maybe he should be able to send lightning, and so he's being confronted. He has his home court basically. He has all the advantages. Let's go on the top of a mountain to one of your places of worship and see which God can call down fire. And if you can imagine, the Bible says all the people of Israel gathered up here. So there would have been the hundreds of prophets of Baal. You've got Elijah by himself and thousands of people all around to witness this conflict. And they're praying and chanting and singing, and they get more desperate and they start cutting themselves. And at a certain point, my translation of the Bible says that Elijah began to mock them. And if you read it, it's trash talking, biblical style. One of the quotes Elijah says is, "Maybe your God is on a journey or traveling." That was a biblical euphemism for going to the toilet. It's the same thing as in English today, maybe talking to a man about a horse or something like this. It's a euphemism for going to the bathroom. He's making fun of them and their God. He's really being pointed. He's laughing at them, and they got more frenzied and more crazy, and they're cutting themselves and stabbing themselves, and it would have been a very dramatic scene. And the Bible says at the right time of day that Elijah starts to prepare the altar, and he builds the altar, he repairs it, he puts the sacrifice on it, he soaks it in water, he prepares everything. And then there's this beautiful prayer. I actually want to read Elijah's prayer. This is what he says. He's talking to God, and he says, "Yahweh, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant, and that it's your word I have done all of these things. Answer me, Lord. Answer me so that this people will know that you, Yahweh, are God, and that you've turned their hearts back." And this is what I take from that. Like, I think of it, we're looking back through history, and we know God is going to answer. But on that day, Elijah didn't know what was going to happen yet. He knew he was surrounded by hundreds of enemies that were going to kill him if God didn't answer. He knew he was out on a limb for God. He tried to obey, and here's where he was. We know what was going to happen. And to me, it's such a vulnerable prayer. He's like, "God, please show up, because if you don't show up, I'm in big trouble. Let them know that you're God and that I'm with you. I did this in your will." And I think it just applies to all of us, because, even till now, there's times in our life where God calls us sort of out on a limb to do something for him. And the question is, are we going to be people of faith like Elijah was and go out on that limb so God can answer, or are we going to be too scared and never show up? And Elijah showed up, and that's why it's just a really cool story that takes place here. The other takeaway from it is this. These people were torn between two things. And part of, they were chasing a really demonic pagan god, and they were kind of keeping one foot in the "I follow Yahweh" camp. And you just can't do that. And Elijah's like, make up your mind. So that's pretty cool. That's what happened here. Thanks, guys.
This video is brought to you by Jerusalem School Bethlehem Media Team.
Here at JSB, we provide a Christ-centered education to the community of Bethlehem. If you'd like to know about us more, please follow our social media or visit our website.
Stay tuned for our next episode of This is the Holy Land.